Shabbat shalom, everyone. We have a nice intimate group today. I like it, so we can have a little bit of a conversation. This week, the beginning of this week's Parsha, has within it what I would say is one of the archetypal biblical images that we have, especially in the world of art, actually. William Blake has this image quite a bit. Chagall, of course, has this image. Rembrandt actually has this image. And some people say Dali does also, but frankly, it's hard to tell. But what is the image that I'm talking about? What is the image of the beginning of this Parsha? Jacob falls asleep. He has a dream, and what does he see? A ladder, stairs, something, an escalator. I'm not sure entirely what it is, but something that connects his world with the world above, right? Sulam Yaakov, Jacob's ladder. And I want you to think for a moment. What does that ladder mean to you? When you think about this ladder, what was the purpose of this ladder? Because the rabbis, frankly, really struggled with it. They had a lot of different explanations for why this ladder was there, what exactly it was, what its purpose was. Actually, maybe before we try to say what it is, let's read the description of it so we can see very clearly. Vayetze begins on 166. And it's right at the very beginning. Jacob left Beersheba. He set out for Haran. He came upon a certain place and stopped there for the night, for the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of that place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place. He had a dream. And it says here, it translates here as a stairway, but the Hebrew word is sulam, right? Sulam, was set on the ground, and its top reached to the sky, and angels of God were going up and down on it. And the Lord was standing behind him, and he said, I am the Lord your God, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and the ground on which you are lying, I will assign to you and to your offspring. Your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread out to the west, to the east, to the north, and to the south. All the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and by your descendants. Remember, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go and will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. And then Jacob woke up. Right? So, what is the purpose? So I understand the purpose of the dream. This is a promise that God is making. But what is the purpose of the ladder? Bruce? It is ascending to God's abode. Who's ascending? Maybe Jacob, although it doesn't say Jacob goes up, but okay, ascending to God's abode. Okay, Anita? Ooh, I like that, right? That's how we all find God, one step at a time. I'm actually going to come back to that in a little bit. Michal? I like the way that you translated this, and I like the fact that you're looking at a particular word, mutzav, right? Mutzav is not just, oh, it's there. Mutzav is it's founded, it's set up, it's got a foundation, right, on the earth, and it goes up to heaven. Okay. Bob.
There's lots of images of God appearing to man, the eye of
Yeah. Yeah, the up and down part is very attractive, right? It sort of sounds like this relationship goes both ways. It's metaphoric for this relationship really going both ways, up and down. Excellent. Please.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what I was going to say. Is that it's clear that if there's nothing else, it's clear that there's a connection between earth and heaven, and that there's this awakening from below and an awakening from above. So the message is coming from up to down, and the message is coming from down to up. So there's this communication going in both directions.
Good. If nothing else, right, this is a connection between heaven and earth. What's interesting about this connection, by the way, is did Jacob camp here because, he knew that this connection was going to be here? Actually, the opposite, right? It says afterwards that Jacob woke up and was surprised. And in the very famous words that we have starting in the next paragraph, Jacob awoke from his sleep. Surely the Lord is present in this place and I didn't know it. Right? He didn't even realize. But here, he happened to camp in the place. We're going to see, right? He happened to camp in the place where God happened to be, or God happened to be in the place where he camped. We don't know which one it is, but somehow it connects together. Yes?
I think it's also kind of important to know, pick up where we left off last week. And last week, he was kind of scared.
Yeah.
And he was like running for his life.
Yeah.
Now, you know when you're scared, it's like when you're in that whole fight or flight response, it's pretty exhausting actually. So it was like, oh God, I'm just gonna set myself here because I'm really tired of running away from Esau.
Yeah, so he was in a heightened state of emotional angst, right? He was panicking, he was afraid. He thought literally he's getting ready to go and meet Esau and really believes that Esau is going to kill him. Yeah. And from this moment of anxiety and angst, right? He has this dream. We've all been there, right? We're at a heightened state of emotionality. Our dreams get a little weird, right? And so this could be that as well.
And then I was going to say the rabbis kind of pick up on that, and where we talked about last week, Yitzchak, and he looked up, and Mincha, and this whole gratitude of just having a little time out in the beginning, in the middle of the day from what you're doing. See, I did listen, Rabbi Ern. And now we get to Yaakov, and then it's the whole idea too of this evening prayer because it was at night.
Right. Yeah, Jacob certainly sets up the evening prayer for us, and this is one of the places that's connected to. Anything else? What does this ladder mean to you before I share with you some of the ideas that the rabbis bring? Please.
Maybe the symbolism of the angels being messengers that resonates with me. So a way of communicating both back and forth.
Yeah.
Maybe more so to me than people getting themselves closer or further away from God.
That this is definitely a possible transit point for communication, right? It's a conduit. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a conduit for communication in some way, with the angels going up and down. And as you said, right, the word malach, the word angel, actually in Hebrew means messenger. We translate it into angel. That's what we call them. But malach is really just a messenger going back and forth. Michal.
Angels really don't need a ladder, but people do. And it's a straight path. It's not like it goes everywhere crazy. It goes kind of, up and down, and things are really clear. Like dreams sometimes are very clear. This dream is especially clear.
Yeah. So Michal argues that angels don't need a ladder. It's interesting. That's a good segue actually into Rashi. Because we imagine angels can just kind of go and float, do what they need to do and appear when they need to appear. The reality is, in the Torah at least, when angels appear, it just says they're there. It doesn't actually tell us how they get here. And maybe they do need a ladder, right? Maybe there is an angelic escalator that kind of takes them up and down, right? And Rashi, to some degree, leans into that a little bit, right? Rashi says, he talks about the ascending and descending. And he says it states first ascending and afterwards descending. Those angels who accompanied him in the land of Israel were not permitted to leave the land of Israel, and they ascended to heaven. And the angels which minister outside of the land descended to accompany him. In other words, Rashi is saying this is shift change, right? This is shift change. That those angels who had the job of being with him in the land of Israel, now that he was going to leave the land of Israel, they had to leave. They couldn't go with him because their focus was to be in the land of Israel. And those angels that were now going to carry, basically take him out of the land of Israel and be with him, those are the ones that are able to be there. And Rashi literally sees this as an angelic shift change, right? And the purpose of this ladder is just to move the angels up and down. So maybe they do need a ladder. We don't know. We don't know. Yeah.
I love the way too modern Hebrew picks up on just even the word olim. And when you go to Israel, we say make aliyah, but it's really la'alot. And the people who move are olim. They've gone up, and it's kind of cool. And if you leave Israel, then it's
Yordim, yeah.
But I was also thinking of something. I haven't seen this ever. The last time we read about something going way up like that was the Tower of Babel.
Mm-hmm.
And all they did was climb up and keep climbing up, and then it was a whole mess, and we know about that polygon. But they never came back down. So I think when you go up, you're kind of in this cerebral state, like literally, but eventually you got to come back down and have the boots on the ground so that you can take the next steps.
Okay.
Not just vertically, but
So the up and down is required, right? Because if all we do is go up, then we don't come back down, and it leaves us in a place where we can't live in this real world. But at some point in time, we have to go up, we have to go down. Okay? Please.
The other thing that kind of strikes me as I'm reading the translation of the says a stairway as opposed to a ladder,
Mm-hmm.
and that both have steps, right, or rows.
Mm-hmm.
Is a ladder, but this idea that there are levels, and we talked about that a little bit before, but it really seems pretty significant that it's not a road or a pathway, but a stairway.
Right.
Rungs and steps, and we talk about Hashem, creating the consolidation of this down from heaven, awesome. The word power cuts. So
Yeah.
that's not the right word, but the awesomeness of Hashem being concentrated down
Into that one place.
in steps.
Yeah. Well, there's steps going up and there's steps going down, right? So it's interesting, right? There are a lot of different ways that we know that we can talk about a journey from one place to another. We have lots of different images that are culturally sort of in our head. Yellow brick road, right? Right? These images of this path that we need to take for a journey. And I think what you're saying is something that's quite astute, which is this particular path isn't a path along this plane, obviously. It's a path up and down, and it's a path that has these levels, these rungs. Whether it's steps, whether it's rungs of a ladder, it's still, and those rungs go up, and those rungs come down as well. And I do want to come back to this because I think it's powerful for us to realize. We can look at this. I've always seen Jacob's ladder for me as a model of how do we do spiritual growth, right? What does that journey look like for us? And we live in a world of instant results. Right? We don't have paths and ladders and rungs so much anymore. We type it into Google or AI or whatever it is, and we've got an answer. Whether it's a right answer or a wrong answer sometimes is debatable, but we have an answer. And part of the challenge of that instantaneous answer is we don't know if that answer matches our journey. When we take the path, whether it be the yellow brick road or whether it be this ladder, we actually start to say, okay, this is my journey now. How does this path, what does it mean to me that I run into, what does it mean to me that these angels are here? What does it mean to me that I run into munchkins? Whatever it may be, right? Whatever it may be, it's part of our journey, and we have to step by step grow, learn, evolve, so that by the time we get to the other side, see, the problem with instantaneously getting there is we're the same person when we get to a different place. And so it doesn't always allow for growth because we're still in that same mindset that where we started. And we're looking at the world in the same way that we were beforehand. Part of the beauty of the journey is that during that process, we evolve. And by the time we get to whatever that destination is, because of the journey, we're different. We have a different way of looking at the world. I already mentioned Rashi on this, that they come down first and then they go up. But there's a number of different rabbis that pick up on this. Ibn Ezra actually is the first to say, those who say that the ladder seen by Jacob refers to a statue, it's not. It actually refers to Mount Sinai, right? So this connection, right, this place, actually, some say it's referring, either it is Mount Sinai, which doesn't make sense actually in the story. We know that Jacob isn't anywhere near where Mount Sinai is, but it's metaphorically Mount Sinai, which is also interesting because when we think of Mount Sinai, we don't think of it as all of us going up and down. We think of it as Moses going up and down. But if Mount Sinai actually is that paradigm of connection, then it's not just that Torah comes down, but that the way we look at the world also goes up. Rabbi Soloveitchik in Halachic Man also picks up on this image. And he writes, religion is not a leap into heaven, but a climb from earth. Think about that for a moment in terms of this metaphor, right? When we want to connect with God, it's not something that we just say, we're there, right? It's a rung by rung climb. And so as we learn, as we grow, and I think this is fundamental to the way that we as Jews look at the world. Every week, we have the opportunity to do a mitzvah. Every day, we have the opportunity to do something. One rung at a time, one step at a time. Sometimes we trip, sometimes we fall, but sometimes we slide back down, right? Every opportunity that we have brings us up. Brings us up. And at the same time, and this is why I really like what you're saying, is that God also has the opportunity to step down. And maybe we meet somewhere in the middle, because we can't ever get up to heaven, and God can't ever fully be here on earth. And so this ladder actually is the place where we meet. In that journey, in that process, not at the end destinations. Michal. Thank you. Go ahead.
The things we hold on to.
Oh, the sides.
Yeah.
I think you said sides.
Well, the things that hold the rungs together.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that for each person?
Right.
I mean, Judaism, gives us a lot of answers, and I guess I'm just thinking about that for myself.
No, I like that. The challenge, I think that's a great midrash, Michal. And for those who didn't hear it, Michal said, everything works really well, but we also have to interpret the sides of the ladder, what we hold on to. What are those things for us that keep the rungs together, right? That keep everything the way that it's supposed to be. And it's a beautiful midrash. The problem is that, first of all, if you define it as stairs, it doesn't quite work that way, right? where we envision a ladder differently, I think, than maybe they did back then. I don't know. But for today's day and age, I love that midrash. And I think we can. What are those side things? What are those things that hold the rungs up for us? Maybe it's family. Maybe it's community. There's a lot of different things that upon which we put these rungs that help us become better people and better Jews.
What if step by step is the journey to obtain knowledge, Moshe going up, whatever, but coming down is our interpretation of the living Torah that we have to bring down. Each step you take, how does this apply to my life? And the next step, how does it, and by the time you're on the ground, maybe you have some concept of the living Torah.
Right. Well, there's definitely, if we think about the ladder in terms of Torah, as you're saying, what Neil was saying is that as you go, step by step going up is how we learn Torah, and then bringing it back down is how we interpret it, how we bring it into this world today, right? It takes us until Deuteronomy to get there, but in Deuteronomy, lo b'shamayim hi, right? Torah's not in heaven, right? The angels don't. It's a great midrash. When God was going to give the Torah to human beings, the angels almost rebelled and said, why would you give the Torah, your most precious possession, to these human beings? And God turned around to the angels and said, because you don't need it. They do, right? So you don't need Torah in heaven. You need it down here. So to some degree, and I love this imagery as well, right? It's great to be esoteric. It's great to go up and to have all these great ideas. But sooner or later, we have to figure out how it works in the real world. I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure I'm speaking for Rabbi Ern as well. It's one of the things we learned after being in rabbinical school, coming into a pulpit. All those things we learned in rabbinical school are great, in philosophy-wise. But where the rubber meets the road of what it is that congregants need, what it is that people need, it's very different. It's very, very different. Torah has to be in the real world. Please, Jane. Love it. The doctor in biology speaks. Our fundamental building blocks are a ladder, right? Our DNA is essentially, it is a ladder. It's a twisted ladder, but it's a ladder, right? And I have actually heard, by the way, I can't remember who said it, but it's in the back of my head, of somebody trying to actually connect DNA and Jacob's ladder in some way. Being the researcher that you are, I'm sure you'll find it after Shabbat. But there is a connection, right, between this, that maybe it's our own DNA as human beings that are that ladder, that connection to God in a real way. Anything else before I conclude? Yeah.
I just wanted to, since we're in the book of Bereshit, I think it's just so interesting, and I don't know why this came to my mind. Bereshit, Hashemayim et haaretz. So in the beginning, we just had this whole thing where it was just all this big mishkabobbled connection with the tohu and the bohu and then the boy, and now all of a sudden we're starting to see just through the book of Bereshit the families they form, and then we have this ladder now that even though they were separated intentionally, there's still this connection of them together. And I think that's cool when you connect it to this whole idea of...
Yeah, everything, the first act was a separation between heaven and earth. Yeah. And this ladder actually shows a connection.
It kind of connects them back.
A connection back. Yeah, absolutely. The last thing I want to say is I want to bring it into the second part that we read, which is this surprise, right? Jacob didn't go to this place because he knew he was going to find God there, because he knew he was going to find the ladder there. Jacob was in this place and opened his eyes, or his eyes were opened. We can decide which, if we want the passive or active tense to this. But Jacob opened his eyes and realized that God was there. And that's kind of how we said it. Like, God was here all along, right? And I didn't know it. I was too busy in my own world. I was too busy in my own fear, in my own angst, right? Because he was running away from Esau. And he felt probably more alone at that moment than he probably ever had in his life. He ran away from his family. He ran away from his brother. He likely felt a certain amount of guilt because he knows that he achieved both the birthright and the blessing through deception. And he was totally alone. And that was the moment that he realized, actually, you know what? I'm not. I'm not. It's a powerful moment. It's a powerful moment of realization that we don't need to be in a place that is holy to feel holiness. We carry that with us. It is wherever we are. Sometimes it's hard to see. Sometimes it's hard to feel. There are certainly locations that help us channel that more, whether it's here in a synagogue or in Jerusalem or on the top of a mountain, right? There are certainly places that help us channel that more, but the reality is it's there all the time. And we have the ability, step by step, rung by rung, to build that into our lives. That's our goal as Jews. That is our task as Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, i.e. the children of Jacob. His name hasn't changed yet, but it will. Our goal is to find God in those places, like our ancestor, to say, God was here, and I didn't know it. Shabbat Shalom.